Hi, I'm Joe Ravita from Empire Music, empiremusiconline.com in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And today, I'm here with the Gibson Custom Shop Historic 1952 J-185. Gibson introduced this Custom Shop Historic line January at NAMM, and they've been slow to get out with all the restrictions we've had. So they're starting to come through the door, and these guitars are really, really incredible. They're really great, genuine recreations of these classic instruments. For those of you that don't know, the J-185 was actually introduced in 1951, and it was meant to be a smaller guitar than the SJ200. If you know the SJ200, it's a massive instrument. And for some of us, just too big to hold or more uncomfortable and maybe not as focused of a tone as we'd like. So the J-185 was meant to be a complement that gave us a more defined tone, but kept the general characteristics of the shape, so we get that nice big boomy earthy tone that you really want, and you get Gibson's classic mid-forward sound, which I love. So this is a tribute to the 1952 version of this guitar, and it features a Sitka spruce top and flame maple back and sides. Now the Sitka spruce top on here is thermally aged, which is, some companies call it torrefied, Gibson calls it thermally aged. What they're doing is they're baking these tops and they're removing the moisture content. So it's going to give the guitar the response and the moisture content of a much older instrument. Obviously, you can't buy a guitar that has 60 or 70 years of tone played into it. So this allows us to get a more vintage tone right out of the box, which is amazing, really beautiful sounding. And then they use beautiful maple back and sides. And you can see obviously a sunburst finish. Additionally, this guitar has hand scalloped X-brace, which is traditional, with hide glue. So hide glue is a natural glue that allows the top and the bracing to really bond together more naturally and with a thinner touch. So it allows the guitar to vibrate more, and you can definitely tell that. And this actually has a nitro lacquer finish that's a thin finish. So this kind of has like that VOS, it's like vintage old stock, like a little bit more of a muted finish, but it's really thin, so the tone just kind of pours out of it. You have rosewood fretboard and bridge. You have a 24 3/4 inch scale length. Comes strung with light gauge strings. And then gold plated vintage tuners. And it's got Maltese crosses here on the bridge. Bone, nut, and saddle. Just a really, really gorgeous instrument. And what I noticed about it right away is, with maple is a harder wood, you get tons of clarity, but man, it just sounds like a Gibson. It sounds like a classic Gibson. And it gives you that definition and focus. And it's definitely, as we know, like Gibsons might not be as bottom heavy as other brands, but you still get that warmth, but the mid is really, really present. And I think that's sometimes missing in a lot of guitars, and I really prefer that in the sound. So I'm gonna go ahead and just strum the guitar, light to heavy, so you can kind of hear its dynamic range. It obviously opens up very nicely. The guitar is very powerful. Like when you're playing it, you definitely feel it against your body. And that's something that I talk about in videos a lot, because I want the instrument to be moving, because if the top isn't moving, if it's not pushing air, we're not going to get better tone, we're not going to get the overhead that we want, we're not going to get overtones. It's really going to struggle, and that comes from either clunky bracing, too thick woods, poor construction, etc. Here, as soon as you touch the instrument, it really opens up nicely for you. So let's check it out. It's got tons of sustain. And I don't know if you noticed, but I did right away. Usually when I'm doing the light touching, just picking through really with a light attack, the guitar is just a little bit more quiet. This guitar is really loud basically as soon as you touch it. I mean, it was really, really noticeable. And it's got that big ability to open up, and the bottom end kind of has that percussive, it's almost like a small kick drum on a drum set. It's just like, it's not this big bellowing like wolf. It's like this real wide sound that doesn't have any like beginning or end or kind of tightness to it. This here has that nice fat, it hits you and it's just got a bit really, really clean, and I love that. I think it's always noticeable, especially if you like to play and sing or you play with other people, and an instrument like this will cut through really nicely because it doesn't get gobbled up in just all the other noise. So if you like to do recording or like you're playing with others just for fun, man, it's just like, this is something that would definitely hang in a group of guitars and you wouldn't have to worry about it not being heard. And I think that's really, really important, and the strings are going to be vocal individually and focused. As we know with Gibson guitars, since they really tend to be pretty balanced really nicely, you get that nice mid section here. I'll show you the mids of this guitar and you'll hear they sound just really classic. It sounds like an old record, which is very difficult to buy that sound, right? If you want to sound like an old record, you can try to buy a really old guitar, but it might be really hard to play and just not in great condition. Here you're able to get that tone, and we're able to get it with modern construction, which is in the sense of the consistency and the quality of the build and the aging process of the woods. I mean, the guitars now are made infinitely better than they were in the 1950s, and even in the 1990s, really, for that matter. I mean, manufacturing, the expectations are very high right now, and it's like really a golden age for guitars, and you can get that honest sound from those records that you like without having to deal with all the old guitar problems. So let's just go through and just show you off the mids of the instrument. It's really just beautiful sounding, like very classic, and it just, like I said, it sounds broken in, which is awesome. Gibson's Custom Shop Historic line, we represent it right here at Empire Music, empiremusiconline.com. If you are interested in this guitar or anything you see on our site, give us a call, 412-343-5299. You can always text me, 412-915-7118. We'd love for you to subscribe to our channel. If you have any questions about anything though, we'll definitely help you find the right guitar for you. And when you select the guitar from us, whether it be in-store or online, we complete a full factory setup on every single guitar. So you don't have to be worrying about if it's going to be ready to play out of the box, if it's going to be taken care of, if it's going to be at factory spec. We're going to guarantee that. So we hear a lot of feedback from our buyers about this, and we really work hard to make sure it's ready to go out of the box for you, not just inspected, because inspected just make sure it's not broken. Here we're going to make sure that it's absolutely right. So you can see this guitar right at empiremusiconline.com. I'm Joe Revita from Empire Music and empiremusiconline.com in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, with the Gibson Custom Shop 1952 historic J-185. Please subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.